This is the Expect Miracles podcast. Enjoy the show. Thank you so much for everyone for listening to the podcast. Be sure to leave us a review, like, and subscribe to get our weekly episodes. You can find us on Instagram at drkevinpecca, Facebook at Montclair Upper Cervical, my website drkevinpecca.com, and montclairuppercervical@gmail.com. Before we start today, I just wanted to say what a perfect last name our guest has for an upper cervical chiropractor. Dr. Eddie Weller out of Getting Weller Chiropractic in St. Louis, Missouri. Dr. Eddie was plagued with chronic IBS growing up, and when someone told him his IBS could be a result of brainstem interference, he decided to give chiropractic a try. And once under upper cervical care, the interference around his brainstem was removed, his body began to heal, and the IBS was resolved. He has been in practice for 23 years now, witnessing chiropractic miracles every day. He is brilliant at conveying the chiropractic message, and it was a true honor to have him on the show today. Please welcome Dr. Eddie Weller. Today on the Expect Miracles podcast, we have a very special guest, Dr. Eddie Weller. Dr. Eddie is a chiropractor out of St. Louis, Missouri. He is one of the best people that conveys the chiropractic message that a lot of docs have forgotten about. And he's got a great story. I'm real excited to have him on today. And he's just an all-around great healer. And thank him so much for joining us today. So, Dr. Eddie, how are you?
Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. You know, as I always tell everybody, I'm losing my hair, but having fun, man. So
there you go.
I'm doing awesome.
So, Doc, how did you get into the field of chiropractic? We were talking a little bit before. You were doing something completely different, and those are my favorite life stories here. So, where are you from originally?
I'm from Chicago. I grew up a few blocks from Wrigley Field.
Okay.
And born and raised up in Chicago, a crazy town up there, and then moved into a suburb of Chicago. I was up there even just prior to going to chiropractic school. You know, junior year, I struggle a little bit of my history if you haven't seen or heard of me before through the Tick for the Tour stuff that we'll talk about later, I guess. Mm-hmm. It's just craziness. I talk with people about, how'd you get into this thing? I'm like, it didn't. I said, I didn't get into it at all. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, it got into me.
Yeah.
And so I said, how is that? I said, when medicine, you're a medical doctor and you go to medicine, you pick your niche. And why do you do that? Do you really have passion for it? Or is it just something educatedly that interests you? I think chiropractically speaking, there's something innately that hits your heart. And it just says, I have to serve people with this. Mm-hmm. It's just changed my life. And when we get into that mindset of wanting to serve that way, it's hard to stay the course because what happens is we become a chiro treater, not a chiropractor. Mm-hmm. And I think the schools indoctrinate that into our thinking about we're treating things versus serving humanity.
Absolutely.
And so here I was at 17 years old, junior year in high school, struggling terribly through school. I mean, holy cow, I got a 10 on my ACT.
Yeah.
And I was that kid. I graduated high school at a third grade reading level.
Wow.
And so I was that kid. So junior in high school, stomach ache real bad, go to the bathroom, have a diarrhea, Dumb and Dumber moment. And it was just craziness. And I'm like, man, maybe bad cheese fries. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm struggling with that. And then that irritable bowel went day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of having this irritable bowel thing. And open a book, close a book. I don't know what I just read. I wasn't illiterate, but my comprehension of words sucked. It was awful. So there was a disconnect somewhere. I was having a colon issue and I was also having a learning one, educated one. And so I graduated high school, barely. Yeah. Moved down in Florida to be a cop.
Wow.
I'm going to cop school down in Florida, if you will, doing all my criminology classes and that kind of thing. And I meet this girl. We start dating and getting pretty serious. And she's like, hey, you know what? And I was young. Here I am, 19-ish, 20 maybe. And we're talking. She's like, we're getting kind of serious. I want you to meet my parents. I'm like, sure, I'd love to. So go to her house for a little barbecue. And so I go to her house and she opens the door. I'm like, hey, I need a restroom like right now. Because you never know when irritable bowel is going to be irritable, right?
That is never a good thing. Yeah.
IBS is awful. And so it was irritable that day. And it was irritable to the point like I need a restroom. So I go to the restroom, little pocket door next to the kitchen. And so I'm having my moment. And her father comes in from barbecue and says, hey, where's Eddie?
It's announced to the whole family.
Right? It's a hollow core door right there. And I'm like,
oh man.
No, I'm in the bathroom doing my thing. So I finish up. I come out, I'm right about to finish up. And she's like, Dad, he's in the bathroom. He has irritable bowel. And her father's like, he doesn't have irritable bowel. He's got pressure on his brainstem.
Whoa.
I'm like, what's up?
Wow.
Like, why is this dude talking about my brain right now? I got teased enough as a kid, right? Because my grades suck. And so I come out of the bathroom. I'm like, I couldn't help but overhearing you. But first of all, hello, my name's Eddie. But what's wrong with my brainstem?
Yeah.
He's like, you don't understand that your brain sends life to the body, man.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay. He goes, then why do you have irritable bowel? I said, it doesn't send irritable bowel signals.
Yeah.
So if those signals are distorted, abnormal signals make abnormal things. Go on. So here, he tells me a story. Needless to say, moves a bone in my neck, man. Transformed my life.
He was a chiropractor.
And so, chiropractor.
All right.
And this was a chiropractor that, for lack of better words, was a full-blown, straight-up, through-and-through mixer.
Okay.
And so, this guy was a mixer. Sigafus hated this dude because they're from Pennsylvania. Crazy mixer. But, he took my neck and just wham. And I'm like, holy cow. So I still had irritable bowel issues, but it was like every 3 days or every 4 days. It wasn't every day. Even in the chiropractic school, I had irritable bowel.
Yeah.
But I can deal with every 3-4 days. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? You're talking to the king of the wet wipes here, right? So it was craziness and struggling with that. And so the reason, I went to chiropractic school, I went to Logan just because the campus was nice. He didn't teach me anything about chiropractic except that one thing, that the brain and body must communicate the right way. And that was it. And this dude was a full-blown mixer, and he was doing therapies and PT and all the junk. And I didn't know any different because here I am at 19, knew nothing of chiropractic. That's all he said, and that was it. But the fact the irritable bowel that I had, that my health was affected by moving a bone in my neck, I went from cop to chiropractor. And I chose Logan just because the campus was nice.
Yeah.
I'm a city kid.
Yeah.
From Chicago, right? So I went up first because, representing what's up.
Yeah.
Went up to Palmer first. And I'm like, God, cool, Palmer. He mentioned nothing about BJ and chiropractic and history and DD, zero. And I only chose Logan because the campus was nice. And here I go get into Logan, and they're pushing on my butt. And I'm like, hold on a second. Some dude moved a bone in my neck. Now I'm working on somebody's rear. Yeah. So one is based on structure, and the other one's based on function. So, again, struggling, going through school, still having some, quoting issues. Yeah, I went through the organics and stuff, and I went into chiropractic school on probation, academic probation, because my grades weren't all that great still. We had to have a 2.5. I had a 2.2. Mm-hmm. And so, and here I am just kind of struggling. Try one, try two. You do the party thing. Try one parties. It's still undergrad-ish, right? Yeah. And big club scene guy, glow stick. I'm that dude, right? Yeah. And just partying, having a good time. Try three. I start really kind of going, all right, why are we really here? Yeah. Like, what are we doing now as chiropractors? There's 187 students in my class, and everybody's got all of this disconnect of what chiropractic is and all that stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. And I see this guy talking about Gonstead. I'm like, cool. So what's Gonstead? He was telling me they have this little instrument, see this needle, it moves back and forth. I'm like, that's kind of cool. Why haven't I seen this darn thing before? Never heard of it. So start going to Mount Horeb and went up to the Gonstead clinics and start doing their seminars and really getting into this. And then I thought, who taught Gonstead?
Absolutely.
He didn't create this in his own. So I'm like, all right, nobody ever thinks of that. Who taught Gonstead? Gonstead just called it after himself, but somebody had to teach Gonstead how to adjust.
Absolutely,
so I start, and now it's try four. And I see these three guys in front of class just listen to this seminar, and they're all reading these books that are colored green. I'm like, interesting. What are those things? And they call me the Yankee of the group because one was from Kentucky, Arkansas, and Alabama. I'm like, how y'all doing? And they call me Edward J. They're like, Edward J., y'all got to read this book. I'm like, well, there isn't a y'all. It's just me. And so I'm like, read this. And so he reads this paragraph to me. I'm like, all right, that sounds weird. So I get this book, and I start reading it. Palmer's Law of Life. And I'm like, holy cow. Well, now it's break. And it's Thanksgiving break. Understand that I did not read a book to completion until I was 22 years old. Because my reading was poor, remember? Yeah. And so here I am, right? I'm reading this book. I'm on an airplane. Once you get the big idea and everything else will follow, I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Yeah. So I'm reading. I'm 33,000 feet in the air, trimester 4. I'm 24 now, 24 years old. I put my finger in the book, close it halfway, look out the window, look at the plane everywhere. And I'm like, nobody knows what I'm reading right now. Nobody knows what I know right now.
Yeah.
And I'm looking and I'm shaking, brother. I'm shaking. And I open a book and I'm like, it hit me. And I close the book. I look out the window and I'm freaking bawling. Tears are falling from my face. And I've got a smile this big.
No way.
And I'm going, holy cow, I know why God put me here.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until a year into chiropractic school. In the chiropractic school, I was not teaching any of this.
What was the light bulb that went off in your head there?
It was the aha, knowing that there's an intelligence bigger than my educated thinking that knows more than my educated thinking, and that some way and somehow that thing resides within my spine. And if I can find out where that junction is and where that disturbance is, and as a chiropractor, lay hands on the spine, shift a vertebrae so that intelligence can do what it's supposed to do, it's bigger than me. Like, we can transform humanity. And so I said, I look at this lady next to me and she's like, you okay? I said, you have to understand, I found out why God put me here about 5 minutes ago. And she's like, what? I said, can I tell you a story? She's like, sure. And I turned to her and I just let it rip. And she's like, I've never heard of this before. I go, me neither. And I continued reading, right? And it transformed my life. So here I am. I land in Florida, talk to mom and dad. I go in my bedroom, right, that I stayed in. I still have my room at their house. I'm reading a book. Mom's like, what are you doing?
Never seen this before.
You've never read a book on your own, Eddie.
Yeah.
I said, Mom, I found it. Like, I found it. And so anyway, it hit me and it started to snowball from there. And I finally met a doc, doing upper cervical work and tried 4, moved a bone in my neck. The irritable bowel now it took 8 months under care of holding the adjustment. Remember, holding is healing, people.
Yes,
Adjustments
absolutely.
never help the soul, ever. And so when I was starting to hold my adjustment for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, 2, 3, 4, I'm like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
And then from there, it snowballed and reading more and more. And then, the initial adjustment was a knee chest adjustment. And then I also learned with the knee chest adjustment through Kessinger, Dr. Kessinger. So in the knee chest adjustment, I learned of the head rotation, and I'm talking about structure and how you hold it and how the adjustment should be an invitation to innate. It should entice innate to take the shackled body and free it up. And when it does that, life happens. And then the chiropractor, we stand back and we just check the soil when it needs to be watered. Yeah. So less is more.
Absolutely.
And this is how I got into the toggle work, because as I watched BJ transform from, the diversified. If you're doing diversified, people, that's 1905 chiropractic. I'll be real honest with you. Right? It's straight up manipulation, cavitating a joint, thinking you made an adjustment. Sorry, no stepped on, but it's the truth. Not my rules. So 1923, BJ knows this guy named Dasa Evans. Dasa says, BJ, check this out. It's this thing called a thermocouple, and he studies it for a year. 1924, at Lyceum, he says, stop it. I have something here. And then introduce this objective gauge to the profession. Today, we have thermography. And so with the thermography, that's what I utilize. And it's, doing the side posture toggle work, watching BJ go from 35 to 15-1, 16 years of research on the upper cervical, both knee posture and the side posture solid head piece. And then 1951 is when Clay Thompson says, hey, BJ, I know you've been showing us some stuff, but check this out, man. And then this drop mechanism came on out, the shift of vertebrae. And then, it was over.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Eddie, it's, we live in a world now with social media, and you get these doctors on here that they put the microphone right next to the back, and you get a huge audible pop, and the majority of the people are thinking that is chiropractic. And what you were just saying is a completely different, blow your mind image of what chiropractic really is. Now, I was watching your video on your website of you explaining chiropractic, and we touched on it a little bit here, but what is the above down healing from above down inside out idea? And a lot of people have no idea what the upper cervical work is. So if you could just explain a little bit about that. Most of my podcasts are about upper cervical work, but I just really want to get the big idea out there.
For those that are really eat, sleep, and drink technique, it's not upper cervical as a technique. I don't do upper cervical as a technique. And if you want to really, really go down the specific on the details, upper cervical is the best full spine application. And I can show that to people objectively with a gauge. And it's interesting how medicine, we're not in any competition with medicine. Many of the videos that I've had on the Tick for the Tour video library, a carpenter's a carpenter, a plumber's a plumber. Yeah. They're not in competition with one another. They're their own distinct thing. And, medicine works on an outside in, below up. Chiropractically speaking, we work from above down, inside out, which means if life happens from above, from the above down, from the brain to the body, from the body to the brain, think of it like a safety pin. If the body was neurologically sound, because life lives in the nerve, and if the body was neurologically sound, then you're thriving from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why you have something. Let's just talk about this crazy scenario where we're at, and everybody's worried about this virus. Mm-hmm. Hold on a second. The only intention of the chiropractor, which is chiropractic, adjustment done by hand. Sorry for those instrumental. Nothing's wrong with an instrument, but chiropractic adjustment done by hand. Mm-hmm. The reason why there's an innate touch. That's a whole nother story. And so what happens is when you shift a vertebrae in this inside-out thing, the only point of the adjustment is to create an internal environment that's stronger than the external stressor. Mm. So life can happen. So regardless of the stressors, that was actually one of my posts today on Facebook. I talk about the 3 T's. Chiropractors love saying thoughts, traumas, and toxins. We all talk about toxins, and really chiropractors are on this bandwagon of vaccines. I don't know why. It makes no sense. It's not chiropractic. Mm-hmm. And so even BJ and Didi would talk about vaccines. Great. It's not chiropractic. It's chiropractic is to make sure that the body is innately sound. And so any stress you give the body, if a parent chooses to give a child a vaccine, it can overcome the body because there's an innate suppression to the system because of that man-made chemical. Mm-hmm. And so if there's truly a sperm and the egg that united and that one cell was formed, and then that 9 months later, trillions upon trillions of cells are organized in such a fashion in which there you are as a baby, that same intelligence is in us right now. And whatever created that one cell is creating a new liver every 6 weeks, new blood every 4 months, right? Every 35 days. I mean, our heart's beating, new stomach lining every 10 minutes. That intelligence knows all. And so there was a lady I was talking to yesterday in the office, and she's full-blown, got cancer everywhere. I said, you don't have cancer. And she's like, what? Look at my blood work. Like everything is, look at the DEXA scans. Look at everything. I say I have cancer. It's not, no, you don't. You don't have cancer. Your body does. You're living in this thing. And so we have to separate ourselves. My cancer, my tumor, my diabetes, it's not yours. It's a condition your body is trying to struggle through because there's a lack of normal function. And if a chiropractor restores normal function at the right place in the right time, stands back and watches this miracle of life happen, that's how people attain their health. But also we can put a spin on this. I've had a gentleman that he came on in, he was yellow as the sun, jaundice is all get out, right? Body, liver failure is breaking down. And I said, brother, you understand you don't have a liver failure, right? Your body does. But here's the thing. I have a 3-day protocol in which I start people with. I can't do that with you. You are knocking on death's door. So we can talk a little bit of Christ right now, open the door to your spirit here, but I'm just telling you right now, but after our prayer, we need to turn the switch on and see what happens. And so anyway, so we go through this whole thing. I make an adjustment to him, right? I, of course, scan him, get images of his spine. I got all the data that I need, the 15 exams that I do pre the adjustment. So I'll get all of this data, collect it all. My educated mind is on the shelf now. It's totally prepared. It's ready. It's good. It's ready to go to work. Bang, adjustment happens. I rest him for 2 hours. So I rest him for 2 hours. He's chilling out. If you're not resting after your adjustment, people, shame on you. Outside of any technique, you have to rest. It shuts off the educated thinking and allows the structure to adapt to the bone's new position. Another story. So he rests for 2 hours. I get him back on up. Check him again objectively with my infrared thermography, right, Titron. Before and after, that crooked line is roped straight. I said, brother, he's like, I feel weird, man.
Yes.
I'm like, I said, keep the weird. I like the weird because weird is new. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. And here's the spin that I talk with chiropractors and especially students. Chiropractic is not about health at all. Look anywhere in the 33 principles and you will not ever see the word health. It's about restoration of function. And so when I talk, health is up to innate, not the chiropractor. And so when I adjust this guy, give him a hug, and I said, God bless you, man. I said, God bless you, dude. And I knew. And I absolutely knew. So he went home, right? And he was feeble. I mean, beyond feeble. So totally weak. Sit him down in his car, give him a little high five, put his seatbelt on, give him a hug. And he drives out, he couldn't drive. So his wife drove him to the office. The next day I get a phone call. He passed. And so people like, the chiropractic, hold on, I thought chiropractic is about health. And then chiropractic's like, well, you have limitations of matter. Stop it right now. right? It's not about health. It's about a better expression of function to every cell, tissue, and organ of the body. That's what it's about. And when you can do that, medicine can't do that. And when you can do that, you've given that person the best opportunity at that point in time, period. How long their adjustment holds is not up to us. How well their body responds and develops out of a problem is not up to us. But you're just a better human being.
Absolutely.
And so, this is the story I tell to everybody. Had a family move in from out of town, says their daughter has got anxiety, depression, she's cutting herself, ton of stuff, says we have to move in town and get under care. I said, you want to do this, play my game, you have to be here. They moved. They sold their house and just moved here. We'll do that when you're teaching the principle, but you're not only teaching it, you're applying it. Because if we believe in the thoughts, traumas, and toxins, who's addressing thoughts? No one. So we have to understand, Kairos, we have two brains. One we think with, and the other one that's keeping us alive. Go to Palmer's Law of Life. It's the first diagram that explains humanity. I have it written all over my office. Huge. It's huge in my office. And so you have to. By the way, those that are watching this that have never read Palmer's Law of Life and do not have a copy, contact me, Dr. Weller at gettingweller.com. I will personally mail you a book. I will mail you an original, smell it, not digital copy book. So you can get a printed copy. I get them from the Delts, and I will personally mail you a book. I've mailed off hundreds upon hundreds, almost thousands now. And it's my way of giving back to the profession because we all need to be speaking this language.
Yes.
Could you imagine if we all spoke this and we talked the same talk, we would be,
oh my God.
What's the percentage of the profession, the public we see it would be a normal conversation.
Yeah.
I see my dentist every 6 months. I see my chiropractor once a month. It's just normal conversation. It's a way of life.
Right.
But we can't because there's hundreds upon hundreds of chiros and they're all different. And then who's right? If you're doing physical therapist, you're not a chiropractor. If you're doing acupuncture, you're not a chiropractor. If you're massaging people, you're not a chiropractor. Sorry, not my rules. Baseball has 4 bases. That's just what it is. Chiropractors want to add a base, put PT bay in between first and second, massage between second and third. It's not chiropractic.
I have a question for you. How do you show up in the office? Because I'm starting to find that's just as important for the healing process in our patients and your overall well-being. You can't pour from an empty glass. How do you show up in the office? How do you increase your energy vibration to really get it going for yourself and for your patients? Because as we know, sometimes we show up not as our best selves. And I think that can also translate to results in the office as well. So I'm curious to see how you show up.
That's the head, heart, hands, right? So head, heart, hands. Heart's always in it, but it gets tarnished with your educated thinking. So how do you show up? We have a huge flat screen, several of them in our office. And the lights are usually dim. It's chill because I pre-rest everybody. So we have a 65-inch flat screen. We all show up at least a half hour before, clients. We don't call them patients because we don't treat disease. So we call them clients. We provide a professional service. That's in a book I wrote, by the way. It just makes sense. I can send you guys that copy.
Beautiful.
And so we play music, a lot of Christian music. We're blaring it. We do our stretches. And then we practice on our tables, do our warm-ups on our table. Every athlete warms up. And so we start the day with a prayer. We either pray over our adjusting tables, pray over our beds. We hold hands with one another. We're high-fiving one another. Music is rocking loud. Nice. And we're just getting in state. We have a green book moment. So if we're kind of stuck with a tick, we need a daily tick, right? So a daily tick is something philosophical we can share the message with because they're not getting any message of tick outside of our office. And so what we do is we grab a green book. We have a whole shelf of them. Grab anywhere in the green book, any green book, open it up right there, whatever page that is, find a tick, and that's how we relay today's day and age.
Nice.
So that allows us to get full. You think of it like a pastor. If you're a pastor of a church, who fills the pastor? Because the pastor's got to come on fire, right? They come out on stage on fire. You got to be ready to just unload and unleash. You as the chiropractor is saying, you showing up with a Coke and a smoke, right? Are you toxified? Do you have relationships at home that suck? Are you not fueling your body in the morning? Are you that kind of thing? It's not to say to be teaching everybody to swallow all these supplements and do all these green drinks and exercise. Nothing's wrong with that, but it's part of the inside out lifestyle. If you're not taking care of you, understand this. I teach this to everybody. If you're not taking care of you, because you're the most important person in the world, it sounds selfish, but it's actually about serving. Because if something's wrong with me, how can I serve humanity? So I need to make sure that I'm a priority. And when you do that, you're able to serve. And when you can serve from the inside out, brother, lives transform, man, because the fire is contagious.
Absolutely.
It just is.
Doc, we mentioned a couple times, what is Tick for the Tour? What is that? It sounds like it's you
Yeah.
what is that?
Chiropractic for the Chiropractor.
Mm.
A year and a half, 2 years ago, we have a video studio and a podcast studio in the office that I've built. And so we've got this whole studio, the nice cameras and that kind of stuff. I've created hundreds of videos and offer them for free.
Mm.
And so I had, maybe 250, 275-ish docs on there watching the videos. But like anything else, chiropractors, when you give it away for free, there's no respect. There's no value. And so when chiropractors are doing these visits, $39 to start care, and they're doing all this junk, why would you do that?
Yeah.
The more people pay for it, the more respected. So I pulled those videos out, and Chiropractic for the Chiropractor, I've been training hundreds and hundreds of docs, and I've had many different associates. Well, I've recently have a new associate that has joined me, and I've got a few of them, but he's a firecracker. And he gets it. He gets the tick. He gets the understanding and the teaching. And so I asked him to partner up with me. And we have an event coming up in a few weeks at Parker. So now we're teaching all of these videos and hosting these, one-day intensives and maybe do advanced courses. But it's about the philosophy, science, and art. And we forget also that it's a business.
Yeah.
And it sucks that it's a business, but it's a business. In order to keep the lights on, you have to get paid.
Yeah.
Students today are graduating with $285,000 in student loan debt. And if you're charging $40 a visit for an adjustment, you will forever be in debt. And so, and it's a business. Ask BJ. It was a business.
Yeah.
And so when it is a business, this Tick for the Tour is really bringing chiropractic back to the chiropractor. And when the chiropractor is on fire for tick, then that's how we can change humanity, by using the same vernacular, really, same language.
And how do you get involved in that?
Tickforthetour.com, where I'm actually revamping this website right now. The easiest way, again, Dr. Eddie Weller, or go to Tick for the Tour Facebook page and just like the page, and you'll see these upcoming events that we're now traveling across the country. Yes, there's an art of it, as I teach docs how to analyze the atlas, regardless of technique. I show docs how we analyze the atlas and its specificity of its misalignment. Believe it or not, imaging, if you're using x-rays outside of Blair views, but if you're using x-rays to draw lines, God bless Nuka and AO and Grostek, it's a huge variable. You must establish the function aspect of it first, then take pictures of it. So you are educatedly ready to look for that thing that you've nailed or funneled into that misalignment. And it's hard because it's just really palpating, and this isn't a gauge.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's just not a gauge. It's a huge variable. I mean, there's a lady yesterday, I'm her fourth chiropractor, and she is in trouble. Health-wise, she's in trouble. And financially, emotionally, spiritually, relationally, she's in trouble. And I sat down with her, took some images. I'm her fourth chiro. She has agenesis of the posterior, and she's missing a transverse process.
Yeah.
And the doc's like, you're really out over here. What? No, it's the other side. But they can't feel it because she's missing a TP.
Yeah.
And they're just racking her neck.
Yeah.
And so this is why, I get frustrated at our profession. And people are like, oh, you're making fun or mocking others. I would never mock you personally. This is a chiropractic thing.
Yeah.
Right? Chiropractically, there is a science, philosophy, and art to it. And if you're not adhering to all three, it will fail in your office, and then you become a chiro treater. So that's the goal, and long story, to bring chiropractic back to the chiropractor, hence Tick for the Tour.
Dr. Eddie, how do you personally overcome adversity? We all face it, a ton of adversity in our life. Even you, with this year going on, you faced it a lot. I'm just curious on how, because it's very easy to put your head down and just, say, oh, well, this didn't work out. How do you bounce back, get fired up again, keep pushing on?
This pandemic that happened, right? It's scaring humanity. When I see this whole game, I'm a little bit conspiracy guy. But then, next door, I'm in an office building, and next door in the office building, they're doing some construction. They're jackhammering the floor. They put in a new bathroom. Well, the plumber made a mistake, and he tied in the sewer line to the drain line, the gutter in the building. And our office flooded, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And so we were closed for 7 weeks. And of course, people's numbers, everybody's numbers dropped because of COVID thing. Everybody's afraid to leave the house, and they're, stealing toilet paper from one another. And so when I see all these things that are occurring, we can focus on what's wrong with us and what we're disconnected with, and we can focus on those that get us and get the principle and share more of that. This isn't social distancing. This is human distancing. And so when we separate ourselves from humanity, chiropractic says, not on our watch. We want to combine together with humanity. We want to serve humanity, because if it's an inside out thing, chiropractic is like, get your spine adjusted to enhance your immune system. No, it doesn't. What it does is it creates an adaptive ability for your body's innate response to a stressor. The adjustment, that's what we need to teach. Nobody talks innate the way we do. Nobody offers an adjustment the way we do. PTs are doing manipulation, DOs are doing manipulation, and they say, oh, we adjust too. No, you don't, right? An adjustment is really an inside out thing. And if that's happening, then, there's no such thing as scarcity. God is about intention, purpose, and abundance. And if there's abundance everywhere and people are praying for our help, they're looking for a way out. And if we can share that message of hope, the good news of tick, then there's no such thing as I'm not coming to your office, ever. We don't wear masks in the office. We don't do gloves in the office, ever. Never have. You know what I mean? So I had a complaint of me from another doctor in the building, a medical doctor. I put a sign on my door, the only mask you have to wear is the smile on your face. And she didn't care for that, because now, she comes out with goggles, masks, gloves up to here like she's delivering cattle. I'm just like, what are you doing right now? She's in this fear mode. Chiropractors don't live in fear. We live in love and light and abundance and serving. And so when other chiros are mocking one another online, even though I've gotten mocking others, I'm just calling out your chiropractic. I'm not mocking you, belittling you. Right. Because if I call out the chiropractic, understand that I didn't make the rules. I just follow them. It's like Christianity. The rules are rules. It's real simple. Accept them in your heart and you're good. I didn't make that up. Accept the 3 tenets, philosophy and science and art, and apply all 3 the way they're supposed to be applied. That's chiropractic. It's not a technique. Absolutely. And so we get away from our technique and we apply it and we love and serve. There's no such thing as darkness. It's only love and light, and we get to serve humanity. And we never live in scarcity because our principles say it as such.
Now, when an office floods, most people would probably just shut down and wait for everything to go back to normal, but you took the power back in your hands. Tell everybody what you did and how you flipped the script.
The office that we have set up is really care for me. Your office should be set up for care for you, which means I love going to my home. It's my house, right? I love walking into the office. It's my home. And so when you do that, you really set it up so you're in the right game plan. People really don't care what your office looks like. Yes, it creates an experience, but have you ever noticed some of the best food you've ever had at the craziest, strangest, weirdest restaurants? It's not the decor.
Yeah, hole in the wall.
Oh, I mean, hole in the wall.
Great food. Yeah.
Right. That was my first practice. The same office that I had was in a closet of an office building. It was the weirdest maze to find it. No signs everywhere. And we were rockin' packed. Yeah. And so what I did with the flood, I said, no what, forget it. I have everybody on a monthly maintenance program, right? So we do family programs that are monthly, like a gym membership. So we have membership programs. And so there isn't a disconnect of income. Some of them says, hey, I want to wait because after the flood, sure, I'll put you on pause. Other ones that said, I'm afraid to leave the house. I need to wear a mask, And then other ones that said, hey, when are you checking me, man? Yeah. And so I said, all right. So I went to a brand new hotel that's not far from here. Nobody's going to the hotel. It was easy. I rented a space, got a banquet room, brought my scanner, have all the resting beds laid out everywhere. And we saw 88 people one day. Yeah. And so it was awesome. People didn't care. They don't care how close they are to one another. They just want the power turned on and live inside out. And so that's the message. And if you're offering that to people and you're serving people with that, those don't care what your office looks like. So you as a student or a new doc that says, hey, because I'm 23 years out, right? So as a new doc, you just go, I have to have this. I have to have the best this. I have to have. My first office, I went garbage picking. Yeah. Straight up. I spray painted everything, stained it. I mean, it's nuts. I went garbage picking. And so my first X-ray machine was $3,000. It was a single phase. You should have heard this thing. It was like a Model T Ford. I'd hit the button and go, right? And take this film. We're dipping films. We're literally dipping films. Silver bromide stink everywhere. It was nuts. But you made it work. And people came. When I think of this, I have a huge picture in my office, Herbert Reaver in jail, right? The most jailed chiropractor. He didn't go to jail for massage, PT, acupuncture, telling people that we treat conditions. Nor in jail, they're adjusting people in jail. Do you think they took a health history of these people? No. They did a chiropractic analysis of what they knew then. and adjusted the spine because you're just better off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's about. Don't get away from this treatment thinking, this, therapeutic diagnostic thinking. There's no diagnosis in my office. We don't bill insurance. We're straight up cash.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if I had to toot our horns, we're the most expensive in the profession.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't think you're offering the best, I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to help you with that and help you make that shift, because I am the best chiropractor in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I am. And you better think of the same thing of yourself.
You have to.
You know what I mean? I play golf with my son. We play golf. And then my son always says, as I teach him, you don't want to play golf like Tiger Woods. He goes, I don't. He's third grade. He goes, I'm going to play better than Tiger Woods.
There you go.
That's exactly right. You want to be a better chiropractor than BJ. You want to be a better chiropractor than the one you were yesterday. And how do you do that? Stick to tick. Keep your nose in the green books, stay the philosophy, and teach it and sell it and serve it.
Doc, there's one question I like to ask at the end of every show. What is one piece of advice that has really stuck with you over the years that you would like to gift the audience? Could be absolutely anything.
I remember BJ would say, if you want me to write a book, give me a day. Be easy. You want me to write a paragraph? Give me a month. You want me to write a sentence? Give me a year. And so when we funnel down and really think about the one thing, what is, Gary Keller, if I'm saying it correctly, wrote the book from Keller Williams Realty, The One Thing. Everybody, you should read that book, by the way. What is that one thing? How do you stay in your lane? What's your niche? What's your thing? And the thing is this. It's really, really simple, is that it's not about you. It's about them. And when you make you are a gift to humanity. And if we are a vessel, that's how I walk into the office. God, whatever you want to come through me, let it be you. And so if it's of you, then there's no ego involved. There's no money involved. It's just serving involved. And when you're doing head, heart, and hands, and your hands touch a spine, let you think about nothing else. Not your bills, your relationship, what you're working out later, your vacation where you're going, the car you want to buy, the house you want to live in, the money or the bills that are coming in, the IRS that might be knocking on your door. It doesn't matter what it is. Let it be all about them. And when you put others in front of you, only good can come out of that.
I love that. So well said. Dr. Eddie, where can people find you online, practice, websites, everything?
It's a really cool way to market. If you can, get your phone and text Getting Weller, or even contact me directly, Dr. Weller, just Dr. Weller, at 6400. It's called an easy card. You really don't even need a website today. It's nuts. This thing called a neat way to market.
Easy card?
Yeah, easy. E-Zebra. So Eddie Zebra card.
And
C-A-R-D.
people can just text you.
Yep. And so you text that, you'll get a mini site on there. You'll get a free copy of the book. It's all about upper cervical care, 22 pages of FAQs of this kind of work. The book's called It Just Makes Sense. It's a killer handout for any office that's doing strict chiropractic work, and just hand it out to people and they will get tick. They will get it. It is a monster marketer. People are like, how much money do you spend in marketing this and that? Zero. I just don't. And should I? Sure. Should I do Facebook ads? Sure. Maybe I will one day. But our marketing is totally different today that we've done yesterday because of this thing called the internet. I mean, heck, I went to school. There wasn't the internet. Yeah. Nuts. But yeah, it's easy, really easy to do that. Tick for the Tour Facebook page is another really easy way to do that. But also contact me, Eddie Weller. Just go to, I go by Eddie. You can call me doctor. I go by Eddie. I look at it this way. If Jesus walked in my door, I wouldn't say, hi, I'm Dr. Weller. I'd say, hey, man, I'm Eddie. What's up? I wouldn't call him Mr. Jesus. I call him Jesus. So I'm a Christ dude, if you can't tell. But it's, it's just awesome. If you can do that online, contact me. I will send you a green book again if you don't have one. But if I need, you need a prayer, you need a little hope, anything, man, I'd love to serve in any way. Just want to love on the profession and humanity, and just I appreciate you guys. And thank you again for having me, brother. I know I get asked to do these, and every story is going to be different. But again, the energy and the message should relatively be the same.
Absolutely.
Passion, in heart and purpose.
Yeah, well, Eddie, this was one of my favorite episodes. I love talking chiropractic, and I would love to have you back on anytime. Great guest. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you enjoy the podcast, subscribe, give us 5 stars, and leave a review. It really helps boost the podcast and spread the good word. My chiropractic practice is located in West Orange, New Jersey at Montclair Upper Cervical Chiropractic. You can also find us on Facebook at Montclair Upper Cervical Chiropractic. All of my information is on my website at drkevinpecca.com, drkevinpecca.com. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Dr. Kevin Pecca for podcast episodes, patient testimonials, and educational videos. I have daily affirmations and inspirational quotes on Instagram at Easel Affirmations, EASEL Affirmations. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at drkevinpecca@gmail.com, drkevinpecca@gmail.com. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day. Cheers.